What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Touchline Talk. MLS Cup is almost here. Vancouver Whitecaps going to face Inter Miami. First MLS Cup appearance for both franchises. And the place I want to start with this is that there's a really strong argument to be made. These are the best two teams in the league this season. I know the Philadelphia Union won the Supporters' Shield. I know Vancouver did not win the Western Conference and lost that opportunity on the final day of the season, on decision day. Inter Miami were up and down at different points. But you look at what Inter Miami are doing right now. Obviously, you know how high the ceiling is and what the potential is with all of those players that they have. I don't need to explain that. And on the Vancouver side, they've had so many opportunities where this could have fallen apart. They have not been healthy. Ryan Gauld has just now come back, and he's not even in the starting lineup. These teams also have both reached finals of other competitions. They had more responsibilities in terms of games and the competitions they were participating in than, for example, the Philadelphia Union. So and of course, you've also seen what they've done in the playoffs, and they have both been fairly convincing. Obviously, Inter Miami are blowing people away. On the Vancouver side, the LSC game statistically was a poor performance, but that was a very good performance. They got derailed by the slew of events that happened that ultimately led to you playing 11v9 in extra time. Vancouver were up 2-0, dominated the first half, nearly got out there with a 2-1 win, and nobody would have been saying anything if that's how that game ended. So you look at all of the different scheduling kind of things and the different competitions they were playing in. You look at what they did in the regular season. You look at what they've done in the playoffs. To me, these are the best two teams in the league. If nothing else, we are going to get a deserving champion. And you don't say that very often. Usually you have one deserving team and one team that really has no business being an MLS Cup that finds a way to get there. See the New York Red Bulls last season. You can go down the list. We don't get top 3 seed matchups like this very often. Maybe they're not the best two teams in the league, but they are very, very close. You cannot argue with either of these teams if they end up winning. For the game itself, there is basically one thing that I'm looking at to me that it's going to come down to tactically. And there's kind of two parts to it, but it's all the same idea. If you allow Inter Miami, with all of these quote-unquote role players, the supporting cast, playing this well, with what Silvetti is doing, with what Allende is doing, Jordi Alba and Sergio Busquets, I think, have 7 assists between them this postseason. We're not even talking about them because it's Silvetti and Allende, and of course Messi's having the best postseason we've ever seen in MLS. When they're all playing this well, and when they've seemed to figure out some things defensively and got a little bit more balance, you have got to get this game to halftime. You have got to stretch this thing out and keep it 0-0. Because if you go let them get an early goal, like they have in every single elimination game they played in the playoffs, now you are chasing the game. Now the space is open, and Messi is going to eviscerate you, and the guys he's passing the ball to are putting the ball in the back of the net more times than not right now, and are full of confidence. You have got to keep this game contained if you're Vancouver. What Vancouver did to San Diego is exactly the way they need to approach this game. You have got to get on the front foot. You have got to take the initiative. You have got to try and score the opening goal. And at the same time, more than anything else, you have got to make sure that you don't go down 1-0 in the first 10, 15 minutes where everything you're trying to do game plan-wise goes out the window. It is almost impossible to beat this Miami team when they are firing on all cylinders like this if you are playing from behind. You've got to either take Messi out of the game or you got to take everybody else out of the game. Because teams can play with Miami if it's just Messi. Maybe you don't win, but you saw a lot of exciting draws, 4-3s, 3-2s, those kind of things. Vancouver knows how to do this. They did it in the Champions Cup already. But this is Miami playing their best soccer of the season. So with that, in terms of not letting this game get out of hand and not letting Miami build and follow the script the way they want to, like they have these past few games. Because 1-0 will become 2-0 will become 5-1 very, very quickly. To me, the most important part of that is what happens on the wings. Vancouver's wingers were phenomenal against San Diego. Caused all kinds of problems. I know they didn't really score the goals. They did help create some of them. But Ali Ahmed, Sabi, they were fantastic. That was really where the game was dictated, is the pressure that they put on San Diego, the way that they pinned them in, and continually beat players, created chances, made things happen. That is particularly important against Miami because you know what's coming the other way if you can't pin them back, and that's Jordi Alba. If you can find a way to tilt the field a little bit, to not allow Alba to get all of those combinations going with Messi, to deny all of those opportunities to cross the ball into the box, that is how you keep this game competitive. That is how you win this game if you're Vancouver. Vancouver can absolutely win this game. It is disrespectful to them, and it is disrespectful to this league to suggest otherwise. Miami are not invincible. But you have to do so many little things right, and you have to be able to play the game on your terms. I do believe Vancouver can do that. I do think this game is going to be very, very close. I don't think we're going to get another 5-1. I really don't. Maybe I'm wrong. But it's all about the first 25 to 45 minutes. Can you get the game to halftime where you're feeling good about where you're at? Can you avoid that early goal? I keep talking about this, but it is so, so important. Because it is so hard to stop Miami when they have space to operate and when you know you have to take the initiative and when you've got to throw numbers forward. So that's what I'm looking at here is, can Vancouver's wingers, A, expose Miami defensively, something that we have not seen in this postseason. When Jordi Alba is coming up the field, can Thomas Mueller, Ryan Gauld, if he gets the game, or if they end up whatever combination you see through the middle, can Sebastian Berhalter, can those wingers, can they get the ball up the field? Can they expose that space when it's there? And can they pin Jordi Alba back and make him less of a factor going forward? Because that's what he wants to do. Everybody knows that. He's not there to defend. You've got to make Miami pay for that rather than allowing that to be an advantage for Miami. You got to check all the boxes. You got to follow every single step here if you're Vancouver. But if you do, I do think Vancouver wins this game. And it probably benefits Vancouver that it's been so easy for Miami so far. Now, I also thought Cincinnati was going to give Miami a real run for their money, and that didn't happen, so maybe I'm wrong about this. But I will continue to be insistent that this league is very, very good. Miami are not miles ahead of everybody else. They look like it right now. It's only been for a few games. We'll see if they can finish this thing off. But tactically, that's what I'm looking for. We can talk about Messi, we can talk about Mueller, we can talk about Alba and Busquets playing their final game. We can talk about Brian White, Sebastian Berhalter. To me, this is about what happens out wide. And can Vancouver dictate the terms of this game, particularly in the first half, to just settle in, avoid going behind early, and just give themselves a chance to play this game? They've done this before. They know they can beat this team. I firmly believe they can do it again. We'll see if they can actually make it happen. That's all I've got. Enjoy MLS Cup, and I will see you after the game.